Alright, where is that damn ghost? I'm gonna bust its ass. Because busting makes me feel good, and I ain't afraid of no ghosts. That's right. As you can see, I got my Halloween costume. I am going to be a Ghostbuster. So, you got a ghost problem? Who are you going to call? Hellhound. And welcome to Hellhound's Loathsome Lore 14. This is my Halloween costume. I'm very excited for Halloween. It's going to be a good one. Oh yeah, very excited. As you can see, I am a Ghostbuster this year. Last year I was Superman, I think, or maybe that was the year before, and this year I'm going to be busting some ghosts. So, really excited for that. But anyway, as usual, I just want to show off some of my recent purchases that I've gotten here lately. Some of the acquirements that I recently obtained. So let's go and get started. Hellhound's Loathsome Lore 14. Here on the Horror Metal channel. Thank you guys for watching. Alright, so the first thing I want to show off is something I actually bought today, which is, I've been wanting this for a long time, Ash Williams from Evil Dead 2. I've been wanting an Ash figure for a long time, and while I do have the Funko Pop version, I wanted like an actual, figure that really looks like, the movie and is really detailed and stuff. So, he's got his chainsaw, he's got a shotgun, very well made figure, done from by NECA, Real Toys. They always do a good job. They always go all out. To see more of my NECA action figure collection, see my last Loathsome Lore video, number 13, and where I showed off all my Jasons, my Freddy, my Chucky, my Leatherface. I still don't have a Michael Myers from Halloween, but that's going to change real soon. But yeah, I've always wanted an Ash. Now I finally have one, and of course it came in this awesome set, which includes Ed the Deadite, and another interchangeable head, a couple more Ash interchangeable heads. Yeah, very awesome. They really went all out with this, like they always do. They always outdo themselves with all kinds of awesome accessories and very good details. This one's got a bunch of great stuff with it. I know, I'm opening the package. I know, it's sacrilege. Blah, blah, blah. Loses its value. Screw that. I'm going to have these. I don't want to get rid of these things. Little Book of the Dead, which of course I have the real thing over there. It actually opens up and everything. I wanted to put it in his hand, but it doesn't really seem to fit. Unfortunately, I wanted him to be holding it, but doesn't look like that's going to happen. I've got him set up with my Part 4 Jason, my Part 2 Freddy, my Part 1 Leatherface, and my Part 1 Chucky. Like, they're all standing there. He's, like, coming behind them, like, about to sneak up on them. Him and Leatherface going to have a chainsaw duel, so I think that's pretty cool. Yeah, he can hold the knife, the bone knife that was seen in the first two films. I think it made a brief appearance in the TV show. So you can put that in his hand. There's probably a way to put the book in his hand if I really tried, but I haven't really been able to figure it out yet. Yeah, a couple of interchangeable heads. I'm really surprised they don't have, like, the laughing Ash, that iconic, like, when he's laughing during, this scene with the deer head. I'm surprised they don't have that as a head. And, of course, there's Ed the Deadite, and he becomes the interchangeable head that comes apart after Ash hacked it apart with an axe. It doesn't come with an axe, though, just the chainsaw and the shotgun, but oh well, that's okay. Yeah, I got this for $50. Online, I noticed it was 60, so this was 50, so, not too bad. I got this costume today as well, so really excited to bust in some ghosts this Halloween season. But yeah, they really did a great job with this set, as always. Really happy to finally have Ash as part of my collection. I just really need a Myers figure now, because he's like the only iconic horror villain I don't have. I've got the other three from the big four. But yeah, very happy to have Ash Williams from the Evil Dead franchise. Whoops, I forgot to put the book back in there. Yeah, maybe I can figure out a way to put that in his hand somehow later. And where'd that ghost go, by the way? I know there's a ghost in here. I need to get to busting it real soon. Sending it back to hell. But I don't know where it went. Maybe it'll pop up here in a little bit. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to show off is... Now, I've been collecting a lot of Vincent Price movies. A lot of my favorite Vincent Price movies that I surprisingly didn't already own for some shocking reason. And I've also been collecting a lot of, I got the, well, yeah, I'll show you. But anyway, other than the main two things I want to show you, I also got these recently. Plan 9 from Outer Space. As you know, I'm a huge Ed Wood fan. His movies are so bad, they're good. And like the ultimate guilty pleasures. I mean, they're so ridiculous. The acting's terrible. The special effects are terrible. Everything's terrible. The act, of course, Vampira and Bela Lugosi were in this. It was Bela Lugosi's last movie, technically, even though they used archive footage from a movie called Tomb of the Vampire, which I think was abandoned and was never made, and then another actor stands out. Yeah, you gotta see this movie. It's a must-watch. It's so bad, it's good. It's just hilarious. I mean, it's just so poorly done. But Ed Wood had some great, he was creative and he had determination. He didn't let anything stop him. A low-budget, terrible actors, he didn't let any of that stop him. He just had so much ambition and he went and got it made, and whether or not it fulfilled his vision, who knows, but his movies are just too good not to be missed. Bride of the Monster is really, really funny, too. It's just so cheesy, but it's got to be seen to be believed. There's Blood-Sucking Freaks, which, of course, was a Joel Reed movie. Yeah, this movie's sleazy as hell. It's very brutal. It's very gory. It's very, really quite shocking for its time. Came out in 1976, so I know this had to be, like, really, really, really... really had to really turn some heads upon its release. They probably wouldn't make this now. It's very kind of very like chauvinistic, very misogynistic, like towards women. Like wow, yeah, a lot of the gore is really, really like cartoonish and really badly done. Really bad effects. I mean, it looks so fake. They cut off limbs and stuff. It's a magician basically and his little person assistant. Putting on a show, and people just think it's fake. They think it's special effects, but it's actually real. It's actually killing the people on stage. And really, the only scene that makes me cringe is the dentist pulling out the girl's teeth, and then he sucks her brain through a straw. Other than that, I can watch the movie in my sleep. It's not done in a disturbing way. It's just very entertaining and cartoon. It's very sickening, but really, really kind of cheesy and corny, and it's very dated too. The grainy quality and the over the top acting. But I think that. The main villains are actually pretty good. Seamus O'Brien, sadly, he was actually murdered shortly after this. It was a home invasion, a home robbery, and he was killed like shortly after this. And then Viju Krim also died. Viju Krim, I don't know how to pronounce the name, but also died shortly after this too. But yeah, I think this is Joel M. Reed's best work, and of course it was re-released by Troma, who acquired it and renamed it Blood-Sucking Freaks. The original title was, I think, The Incredible Torture Show, or something like that. Yeah, they reacquired it. Lloyd Kaufman, of course, is one of his favorite movies, and yeah, he's all about this. This DVD's excellent. It's packed with extras. You really get to see behind the scenes, all kinds of special features, all about Troma and about clips from their other movies, and it's just a gold mine of bonus content. So I'd say the DVD is definitely worth purchasing for that alone. Even if you don't like the movie, if you're a fan of Troma, this DVD is a must-own. And truth be told, I don't have a lot of Troma movies, but I'm really happy to have this in my collection. It's a pretty bad movie, technically, but it's definitely a must-watch for gorehounds and people who are into the shocking, brutal, over-the-top, sickening, torture type thing. But like the exploitation style intentionally. But it was nothing like the modern, like the Saw and Hostel type, the modern torture thing. It's more, more cheesy and kind of over-the-top bad. But I just love it. I absolutely love it. It's so sleazy and just so enjoyably brutal. But anyway, aside from those two, yeah, let's get to the Vincent Price. So yeah, shockingly, I didn't own any of these movies before. Well, I actually had House on Haunted Hill on VHS, and then I had it in a box set. But I went ahead and rebought it again, just to have the official release. Sadly, there's not like a lot of bonus content on this set, but you gotta have this one. Yeah, it's a classic. It's one of my favorite Vincent Price performances, and I'm gonna review this one pretty soon. So I'm not gonna go into much detail about the story, but basically, if you're a horror fan, you've probably seen it. It's like one of the quintessential like haunted house movies. Even though the ghosts may or may not be real, I'm not gonna give it away. But if you've seen the movie, you know what I mean. But yeah, William Castle, the guy who basically got behind that whole gimmick horror. He'd have the movie theater, and like there'd be a floating skeleton like when they showed this movie, and of course he had like stuff like that for all his movies, and he always outdid himself. He always did great work when it came to like props and stuff when in the movie theater. I wish they'd go back to that. I wish they'd do like a tribute to that. But yeah, William Castle and Vincent Price, how can you go wrong? So yeah, very happy to have that in my collection. It's a must-have for any horror fan. And as I said, I did technically already own it, but whatever. And then, of course, there's the Dr. Phibes movies, A Bottle of Dr. Phibes, and the sequel, Dr. Phibes Drives Again. These are great. These are some of Vincent Price's best work, and I actually like these movies a lot better than House on Haunted Hill, truth be told. Vincent Price does a great job. He plays a great villain, and you kind of side with him a little bit. He's kind of a sympathetic character, Dr. Phibes. I plan to review these ones as well, so I'm not going to get too much into the story. Basically, Vincent Price is actually, his character actually looks like this. He's severely deformed. He wears this mask and talks to the voice box, and he does all these crazy, over-the-top things to his victims, which I don't dare give away. I'm not going to spoil that because it's the best part of these movies, but these are must-owns, especially if you're a Vincent Price fan. And, yeah, very happy to finally have these. I don't know why I didn't own them before, but yeah, they're definitely highly recommended viewing, mandatory viewing, I would say. So if you haven't seen them yet, do yourself a favor and go remedy that right now. Then, of course, there's the original House of Wax, another amazing Vincent Price movie in which he's basically the villain once again, plays a great villain, and he's also deformed in this movie too. An accident happened. His shop was burned down. And he reopens. And if you've seen the remake of House of Wax, it's basically the same premise, but this one does it a lot better. This is just a classic. It also includes Mystery of the Wax Museum, what this is technically a remake of. Yeah, Mystery of the Wax Museum. It has Fay Wray in it from the original King Kong. Also a good movie, but yeah, Vincent Price just is great in here as usual. He's just such a legend. He's one of my favorites. I'm a huge Vincent Price fan. And this movie's a testament to the greatness of the man. I plan to review this one too, so I'm not going to do too much detail about the story. I just want to share you guys my recent purchase. Then, of course, we have The Fall of the House of Usher. Now, this movie's been adapted several times. This story, I mean, it's one of my favorites. Now, hear me. Okay, get this. It's an Edgar Allan Poe story, directed by Roger Corman and starring Vincent Price. If that's not a holy trinity, I don't know what is. Edgar Allan Poe, Vincent Price, and Roger Corman. How can you go wrong? Short answer, you can't. Now, Roger Corman started out doing a lot of sci-fi B-movies like Attack of the Crab Monsters and stuff like that. I have several of his work. I love his old low-budget sci-fi stuff, mostly like in the 50s. I love all those things, but I think he was even better when he started doing more like horror-oriented, more spooky, creepy, suspenseful movies like this one. And then there's also, of course, The Pit and the Pendulum, also from Edgar Allan Poe's story, starring Vincent Price and directed by Roger Corman. So it makes a good companion piece. I like House of Usher a little better, but Pit and the Pendulum is great too. And this is another story that's been adapted a lot. I kind of like the 90s one with Lance Henriksen, but this is by far my favorite version of this story. And Roger Corman and the writers did take a lot of liberties with these. They differ from the Edgar Allan Poe story a lot. I'm a huge fan of Poe's work too, obviously. God, he was like he's like the godfather of horror literature. But basically, yeah, they do take a lot of liberties, and they change the story around, kind of put their own spin on it, but they do it in a very, very well done, very interesting way. Again, I'm going to review these as well, so I'm not going to go too much into the story, but great Edgar Allan Poe stories, great performances by Vincent Price, and of course, great directing is always by Roger Corman. I'm a huge fan of all three of them, and putting them all together is just like heaven for me. Then there's also The Fly. Now, this has been a long time coming. I've been a fan of the Fly movies for years, and so this is the trilogy, the original Flies. Of course, we have The Fly, the original, from 1958 with Vincent Price, and I think this was actually the first Vincent Price movie I ever saw before I was a fan, so this might have been the movie that made me a huge Vincent Price fan, or at least introduced me to the man. I think I already knew about him, but I think this is the movie that really made me start being a fan. And if you're a fan of the Fly movies, I definitely recommend this box set. It's loaded with features, even comes with a bonus disc. But yeah, anyway, we have The Fly, of course, which I saw years ago, and I fell in love with it. Then The Return of the Fly, which is actually in black and white, whereas the original was in color. Vincent Price returns in this, and it concerns the son of the Andre Delambre character growing up, and he becomes a mutant fly too, just like his dad, with a fly head and a fly limb, and this one he has a fly leg too. I think the fly costume is a little more ridiculous here. It looks kind of better in some ways, but it's way too big. It's like cartoonishly huge. In the original Fly, it was not that big. He had that iconic scene where she takes the towel or the blanket off his head, and he's a fly, and then he sees her like a bunch of different images of her seeing through the fly's eyes. Love it. Just classic, excellent sci-fi horror stuff. I love these movies. Vincent Price is great in them. These are two of my favorite Vincent Price movies as well. And again, they were probably my introduction to the man. So And then again, I might have saw The Invisible Man Returns before I saw the Fly movies. And that was actually his first horror movie. That was his first role in a horror movie. But you don't actually see his face until the very end when he becomes visible. And I got that movie too in the Invisible Man collection. Very good movie too. So that's an honorable mention. If I ever do a top 10 Vincent Price movies, that one's definitely going to be mentioned. I think it's kind of underrated. I know the original's far better with Claude Rains, but Invisible Man Returns is really good too. And then, of course, there's the third film in the series, The Curse of the Fly. Now, I hadn't seen this movie until I knew about it, but I didn't see it until I bought this set. And also, I don't think it's ever even been really released on DVD, maybe even VHS. I never saw this in the video store. I've never seen this anywhere other than in this box set. So I know it had a very limited release. Not only is there not a mutant fly creature in this movie, but Vincent Price doesn't return, and the continuity is a little screwy. It says it's the son and grandson of the original the Andre Delambre character, played by David Hedison, who's still alive, by the way, which is awesome. Yeah, it's them, but he has a different name, and the continuity, the ties to the first two movies is really loose. Like, the first two movies go together really well. Like, Return of the Fly is a good companion piece and a good successor that fits the continuity well. This one, not so much. It's almost like it follows the original short story that The Fly was based on, which I think was published in a Playboy magazine, if I'm not mistaken. And it seems like it's like more a sequel to that. But yeah, The Curse of the Fly, definitely my least favorite. Yeah, there's no Vincent Price, there's no fly creature. I don't really mind that there's no fly creature, because really, how could that have happened like that many times? You know, the guy invented telepods, teleportation devices that a fly accidentally got in, and it merged them together, it spliced them together. And so, yeah, how many times could that happen? But it's kind of interesting to see what happened to the family and their experiments and some of the other weird things that go wrong. This might be the most disturbing, most shocking one, because it's got some pretty out there, pretty disgusting, really unpleasant things. Kind of like the 1986 version with Jeff Goldblum, which, sorry to say, that's actually my favorite. The one directed by David Cronenberg. I actually like that slightly better than the original, but the original's still a classic, and it's definitely a must-see. Then, of course, there's this disc of horrors, loaded with bonus content. Comes with this booklet all about the making of the movies, which is a must-read. Very interesting, very awesome information. If you're a fan of the Fly movies, this set is a must-own. It's the complete trilogy. Yeah, I'm very happy to have this in my collection, because it's been a long time coming. I've wanted to own these movies for years, and I never owned Curse of the Fly. I never saw it. I thought it'd be really cool to see the whole trilogy, because for years I'd only watched the first two, and then of course the remake and its sequel. But yeah, very happy to have the Fly collection. If you're a Vincent Price fan, definitely check them out. These movies blend sci-fi and horror together really well. They have like that 50s sci-fi B-movie feel, but they're done in a very, very interesting and well done way. Well directed, well acted, very kind of very believable, and not like really cheesy like you would think. I know the Fly makeup, the creature kind of looks silly and it's kind of dated now, but it's still kind of scary too when you think about it. But yeah, very done. Very, very happy to have those in my collection. Now, the next thing I have, I already owned these movies. Herschell Gordon Lewis, the godfather of gore, my favorite directors. If you don't know who Herschell Gordon Lewis is, do yourself a favor and go check his work out right now. Anyway, it pretty much all started with 1963's Blood Feast, which was like, audience has never seen anything like this before. This movie was gory as hell. Yeah, just look at that. The effects, of course, are kind of dated now and look kind of silly, but and I think the acting by the lead villain is actually pretty good. Fuad Ramses is his name. He's a caterer and he kills people, and he's a cannibal. He kills people and serves them at parties, and he's trying to resurrect an Egyptian goddess. So it's a pretty over the top, pretty silly story, and it's done in a very very cheesy, very very low budget type of way, but I think it's a pretty the acting's not very good, but I think he does a pretty good job. He gives a pretty good performance. Mal Arnold, I believe, is the guy's name, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, he's good, and this was kind of the first of its kind. This is Herschell Gordon Lewis's masterwork. I think this is like the best thing he's ever done. Again, the acting's kind of terrible, and the quality's cheesy. The gore is very fake, but still, it was very revolutionary. It was definitely highly influential and inspirational to the whole gore, the more gory side of horror. The splatter type movies. Then, of course, that was kind of part of the trilogy, along with 2000 Maniacs and Color Me Blood Red, which I got this one rather recently, but these two I already had. So yeah, this is kind of known as the Blood Trilogy. This is another good movie with a really bad acting, and again, really fake-looking effects. But it has a really cool twist ending, and it's actually kind of a ghost story, which you don't really see coming. I know they remade this a few years ago as 2001 Maniacs with Robert Englund, but I prefer the original version. It's not one of his best movies, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's part of the trilogy. And then, of course, it's Color Me Blood Red, which is a very bloody movie as well. Dated by today's standards. It's not going to be anything too shocking or brutal by today's, looked at from today's viewpoint. But still, for back then, this had to be like really, really out there. Then, of course, there was a sequel to the original Blood Feast, which came out in 2002. This was one of Herschell Gordon Lewis's last movies, if not his last. I think this is actually the goriest one he ever made, but it kind of lacks the feel. It kind of lacks the charm and the magic of his original movies. But I liked it. I thought it was a good addition, a pretty good sequel. To concerns the grandson of the villain from the first movie, and I'm really happy to own it. Now the thing is, if you've seen one of my older videos, I actually got this movie and it was the censored version. Like, why the hell would you want to watch a censored version of a Herschell Gordon Lewis movie? It's totally pointless. There's no other reason to watch it other than the gore and all the blood. It'd be like listening to heavy metal with earplugs, or or being at a concert and putting a blindfold on. Just what's the point? But luckily, this is the uncensored version of all of its gory glory. Very, very brutal movie, but it's done in a very silly, cartoonish way. And, of course, I got the Herschell Gordon Lewis collection. Very happy to have this. I've wanted this for years. It has 6 of his best movies. Loaded with special features, blood-splattered special features. Godfather Gore himself, some of his best work. And, of course, it includes the Gore Girls, which is one of his more brutal movies of like the classics. This one's really gory and it has some really disturbing, shocking scenes. Again, it's kind of cartoonish and over the top and kind of cheesy, but it's done in a really cool way. Then the Gruesome Twosome, which this is a very, very interesting movie. I guarantee you've never seen anything like this. I won't go into too much detail because I'm going to review these eventually, given they're in the review, so I don't want to spend too much time on them. Plus this video is kind of getting too long, but anyway. She-Devils on Wheels, another pretty good. This isn't really a horror movie per se. It's got horror elements for sure, but I'd say it's kind of more, I don't even really know what to call it. It's a Herschell Gordon Lewis film there. And of course Something Weird, which was the movie that coined, Something Weird video got their name, that coined the term, which is, you gotta respect it for that. It definitely got, I wouldn't just say something weird, it's got a lot of things that are weird in it. Yeah, very strange, very surreal movie. It's really awesome atmosphere, really interesting visuals. This is definitely, this kind of feels like, it definitely has the Herschell Gordon Lewis stamp all over. It definitely has his style, but it's very different in terms of, it's different from his other movies, which is saying something, It's definitely got its own kind of feel going on. It's definitely very unique. It's kind of the black sheep of his movies, and it's weird to even say that, because his movies are already the black sheep of cinema, as it is, but I love them so much. I'm very happy to that. Then there's A Taste of Blood. This is another one of his best movies, and boys, they have a horrific premise. Wow, when I first watched this, I was like, wow, they really went pretty far for back then, for the standards of back when this came out. Yeah, very happy to have this one. This is one of my favorite of his movies for sure. This is probably my favorite one that's not part of the Blood trilogy, which is Blood Feast, 2000 Maniacs, and Color Me Blood Red. Very good. And then, of course, there's the beloved classic Wizard of Gore. Last but certainly not least. Actually, I take that back. This is probably my favorite, other than Blood Feast. Wow, yeah, what can I say about this movie? The premise is actually kind of similar, actually very similar to Blood-Sucking Freaks. In fact, I'd even go so far as to say this is probably inspired by Wizard of Gore. Very good. Yeah, it's like a seedy magician with a shocking stage act, hypnotizing young women to be his obedient volunteers, and then he mutilates them in a series of illusions, and it's very, very shocking. Again, kind of dated, kind of tame by today's standards, but back then, man, I bet this really gave audiences a shock. This is definitely one of Herschell Gordon Lewis's best work, and I'd say that this one, it has that kind of cheesy, kind of low budget feel, but I think this one's kind of a little more sophisticated at the same time. It's done kind of taken a little more seriously. It's definitely cheesy and kind of silly, especially by today's standard, but it's taken a little more, done a little more of a realistic, more of a dark vibe than his other work, in comparison anyway. I guess that's all I really wanted to show off. Yeah, the Herschell Gordon Lewis collection, some of my recent Vincent Price movies that I should have already owned, and my And, you know, a couple other movies that I got. Huge fan of Ed Wood and Joel M. Reed. And then, of course, my Ash figure. And, so yeah, I think I pretty much covered it. If there's anything I forgot, then I'll just have to make another video later. And of course, my costume, which I'm going to have to go now and go bust some ghosts. Got to find that ghost. I know he's around here somewhere. I saw him earlier, but I seem to have lost him. But don't worry. I'll get him. I'll get him. Because busting makes me feel good. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. I'm Hellhound, and until next time, see ya. And remember, I ain't afraid of no ghosts.